How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Well, this is for the Blog Critics website, and I'm actually not too far away from your old stomping grounds of Alexandria.
Yeah, actually, I grew up in Springfield, Virginia, which is not too far from Alexandria.
Yeah. So you graduated from college with a marketing degree. Uh,
Yeah.
were, were you originally set on pursuing the corporate world, and how did you end up pursuing music?
It's kind of funny how that worked out because, gosh, DJing has been the most steady job that I've had, throughout my life, I guess you could say, because I started when I was 16,
Mm-hmm.
doing like high school parties and high school dances, and I moved on to, doing college parties when I was in college for 4 years, and then after that, started doing clubs. But it had always been, kind of a thing on the side. So I always had not necessarily a concrete corporate career path in mind, but it was always my goal to get the best education, along the way. So my parents actually they made me apply to a magnet school in Virginia. If you're familiar with Alexandria, you probably know the high school. It's called Thomas Jefferson High School. It's like a
Yeah, yeah.
real
I'm,
brainiac school, yeah. So apparently I was a brainiac and I got in there, and then I went to UVA after that. But yeah, in UVA, I just I thought I was going to get into I guess the business world on the marketing side.
mhm.
But what's funny is that I ended up doing a lot of theater in college as well. So there was a third life for me there as well. So I had my DJing life, I had my school life, which took up a lot of time each on their own, and then I spent a lot of time doing theater. I was doing shows, acting, and then I thought I wanted to be an actor for a while. So after I graduated college, I didn't go into the corporate world right away. I actually spent a couple of years doing theater and kind of seeing what I could do with acting and everything. And after a couple of years doing that, I decided, well, not really for me. And then I went into the I guess you could say the corporate world, but not even in the marketing side. I was a network engineer before I quit that job to pursue DJing full time, which was in
Yeah.
'94. Yeah, so I'm actually using my. I guess everything kind of comes around full circle. I sound cliche, but like now I'm using my marketing way more than I did in the quote unquote corporate world because I'm running my own business. Um,
Right.
so
What's the
yeah,
name of your business?
so it's just my DJ business.
Okay.
Named Full Provider. Yeah.
Okay.
My DJ
Uh,
business. Yeah.
well, I was gonna say you had a musical background to begin with, right? Because you were classically
Yeah.
trained in piano. Um,
Yeah.
did you ever think of being an instrumentalist or performer professionally, or what initially appealed to you about the DJing aspect versus the musician aspect?
Okay, well, that's actually two different questions. The first question about I ever thought about performing as a musician. Yes, when I was younger, when I was taking lessons, I was in the ages of 7, and I stopped at 18. But I took about 8 years straight,
Hmm.
and then like a couple years off, and then I went back and took some jazz. But over that time span, I always thought that I would probably have like a lounge, like like a real small, like I thought I'd be happy, like on a weeknight or something like that, just go out and play music, play jazz, piano, at a lounge or something. I always thought this is like as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Um, on the performance side, I always thought that was kind of in the back of my head. That never even really popped in my head again. Actually, again, but but as far as DJing goes, which is a whole other side of music, um, that that started out. The interest in that started out just by going to parties when I was younger. It was kind of like I was this young kid following my big sister, around the parties and stuff like that, and I saw it's guys that you would never have heard of.
Hmm.
I've been first kind of like gave me the idea that I kind of wanted to do this. They're just like they were like mobile DJs, meaning guys that set their equipment up just like the way I did when I was in high school,
Right.
and they would spin records, and I thought it was the coolest thing to watch and listen to how the music kept going, but there was never a break in the music, and it sounded so seamless, almost like a soundtrack, for the
Yeah.
night. I thought that was the thing. At the end, and this is at a young age. I was about 14 maybe at the time,
Oh
and then
wow.
by the time I was 15, yeah, and then I was making I guess you call them mix. When I say mixtapes,
Yeah.
and I think back to high school, I think some people think of mixtapes when think of like their high school years as, oh, I'm putting a bunch of love songs on a tape, on a cassette tape and giving it to my girlfriend. That's a mixtape.
Right.
That's not what I'm talking about when I say I used to make mixtapes. I actually used to, without turntables, before even thinking about being a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
I used to record. I used to take, number one, like cassette singles on a boombox that I had, and then I put a blank cassette in one side, and I would actually record snippets of songs off the other cassette deck.
Oh yeah.
So that it was actually a seamless mix, like a mixed CD, as if I had turntables, but I didn't. Cutting some songs, even rearranging sections of songs.
Just doing it the really manual way.
Doing it the real manual way and just recording it. And my boombox was awesome at the time because it didn't have that little click. Sometimes you have a click.
Oh, yeah.
Stop recording and start recording. This one had no click.
Cool.
I loved it. And then I would make these mixtapes, and it would be seamless music for, on beat, for like, I make little half-hour mix sets.
Right. You didn't lose the time meter or anything.
The interest was always there, and listening to radio a lot kind of influenced me as well, listening to DJs on the radio, because at the time I was too young to even be exposed to nightclubs or get into clubs.
Mm-hmm.
But and then I was influenced a lot younger, at a younger age, by like a lot of what was on the radio, like pop radio or even rock radio, like that was kind of like what I was kind of influenced by musically.
Okay.
But if you asked me, back then, if I ever thought I would make a career of it, much less doing what I'm doing now, I would have told you you're probably crazy. It was just kind of the thing I was doing for an extra. It was for fun, but I loved doing it, and it was just one of those things. I never thought I'd make a career out of it. I didn't know you could do that back then. So
going from that kind of day-to-day mentality of doing it and moving up ahead a lot, I know, to when you won the DMC championship in the U.S. in 2003, what, in a nutshell, were the steps that got you to that point to achieve something like that?
In a nutshell, it was a lot of practice. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of practice and a lot of, I was kind of a glutton for, I don't know if I was a glutton for nerves or for putting myself in situations that were really scary to me. I mean, I was terrified to death going on into these DJ battles at first, right? Mm-hmm. Just going in and having to go up there and do a set. Everybody's watching you, and everything hinges on your hands and your needles and your record. Mm-hmm. Very, very nerve-wracking.
I know.
But for some reason, I just kept going back to it, and the more I did it, the more I wanted to perfect what I could do. Mm-hmm. I literally, in a nutshell, would just sequester myself after work. I would come back and I would practice for like 4 hours, down in my basement for my next battle. And this would continue until the next battle and the next battle, and then it just kept going, getting better and better. And eventually, in 2003, I was fortunate enough to win. So how would you just... Go ahead. It was just a lot of practice. A lot of nerd-like practice, to get to that point.
So how would you describe the significance and the what it's all about as far as the DMC championship to someone outside of the DJing world? What is it all about when you go to a championship like that?
I would describe it to somebody, and then granted, the times are different now mm-hmm. than they were back then, and in the times back then were different than the years before. So mm-hmm. there was kind of this golden era, and I was kind of like at the very edge of this golden era, which I was very lucky to be part of. Kind of at the very edge of the golden era of DJ battles, right? Mm-hmm. When it was so somewhat kind of fresh. But in any sense, back then, it was like the Olympics of DJing, of DJ battles. So that's the best way to describe it. It's a worldwide competition involving dozens of different countries, each with their own national champion. And the only way you can become a national champion is if you get to the national finals, and the only way to do that is to win your regional. Mm-hmm. So you go through a regional battle, you can go to the nationals, and then if you win your country, you represent your country just like in the Olympics mm-hmm. To try to win the world. So that's the best way I can describe it, like the Olympics.
And you went on to do the runner-up, or to be the runner-up in the world finals, right?
Yeah. I got second place that year.
And what were some of the criteria that they judged you on when you took part in that? Do you know what they were looking for, or did you just have to wing it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. When you're